Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com and we'll take a look at them after round 1. Matt H sent in a very interesting Nic Fit variant. I'm not sure how it's going to do, but the theory is interesting. So generally speaking, the Nic Fit archetype involves you sacrificing veteran explorers, usually with something like, say, Cabal Therapy or Phyrexian Tower, to get additional basic lands. Generally speaking, legacy decks don't run very many basic lands, so it's often one-sided ramp. Or if it's not one-sided ramp, you're taking the gamble that you can use the mana better than your opponent can. And this Nic Fit deck in particular is trying to take use of that mana on a turn-to-turn basis. So oftentimes Nic Fit accelerates into something really big, dumb, and stupid that costs too much mana. And while we're still going to do that, the general theory behind this deck list is that we want to funnel the mana into mana sinks over the course of multiple turns, rather than just kind of shoot our load with one big, dumb spell. So we have a very resilient Green Sun Zenith package that tops out in Ant Queen, which can let us create more creatures and go wide. Polukranos Unchained, which can be sort of a fight machine, and it can also come back from the graveyard if you can exile 6 cards from the graveyard. A little tougher for a green-black deck, but it's possible as the game goes along. And we also have Polukranos World Eater, and it can become monstrous once. When it does, it deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures your opponents control. And then those creatures get to do the damage back. So in addition to the Green Sun package as a toolbox, we also have Living Wish, which lets us get a creature or a land. And all I'm going to say is that there is a very wide selection of cards in this sideboard that I don't know the full text of. And that is saying something in terms of the raw spice level here. There's a lot of options, many of which are extremely narrow in fringe, but boy, if they happen, it's going to be quite the blowout. Bane of Progress, for example, can be really gross if you're playing against something like Enchantress or one of the 8-cast decks. When this deck list was sent in, they essentially said, yeah, you know, I'm pretty sure this isn't worth it, but I might be wrong. And so I'm going to put my play points on the line, and we're going to see how this deck fares. Sort of interestingly, it does have a decent number of options. Like versus combo, you have like multiple pieces of discard, and you have Living Wish for something like a Bojuka Bog in game 1, which is a pretty good amount of flexibility. So between like bonus Bojuka Bogs and maybe Endurances, we're not going to be totally dead to combo. I am hoping that we beat up on fair decks with like a just giant pile of Hexdrinkers here. Although I do worry about some of our curve toppers being legendary for when we play against something like Death and Taxes. Alright, with that being said, I think we'll go ahead and jump directly into the match here. If you're new here and you like what you see today, please consider subscribing, and if you're a regular, throw me a like before the video begins. It's the easiest way to support my content for free and keep me doing the wild things that I'm doing here on this channel. If you end up wanting to tinker with this deck list, or you want to get one of your own decks on the channel, all that information is available in the video description. Let's battle. Alright, round 1, opening hand is totally fine. I'll be keeping this one. I can play Thoughtseize on turn 1, into Cabal Therapy on turn 2, into Veteran Explorer, into Ramp, and to start playing Hexdrinker. This hand is really good if I don't just get turn 1'd by some broken combo deck. Don't do it, don't fucking do it, don't fucking do it. The good news is I can like take a Dark Ritual here if my opponent has one. Okay, another Bayou is great, and seeing Doomsday, I'm safe to play a Bayou on turn 1 in case I need green on turn 2 for some reason. Thoughtseize you. Fuck! Fuck! No! Alright. Well, the good news is, I know they have a Doomsday in hand. Don't you dare! Don't you dare just have the goddamn Dark Ritual too! Alright, my opponent's Doomsday pile is resolving here. Not an LED pile. It says Fluster main. That's interesting. What do they pitch? Or that it's a Doomsday in exile. Oh, right, they're dazed. I'm gonna take a while here. I'm not gonna let you sit through it. Okay, I believe there is a Brainstorm either in hand or in that pile. So let's start with Cabal Therapy naming Brainstorm. Brainstorm, not Brainstone. It is Thoughtseize and Duress. So I will play a Veteran Explorer. Cabal Therapy, target you. Sacrifice Veteran Explorer. I will use this ability. Guess I'll get a Forest and a Swamp here. I will name Thoughtseize, leaving my opponent with just Duress. Let's update that. I will Cabal Therapy. Target you, name the Duress. Okay, got it. This is for the Brainstorm that I expect that my opponent has. Now I'll go ahead and play out a Hexdrinker and hope that I can kill my opponent. So there's a land. What is the level up number here? 3 and 8. Alright, so definitely level up to 3. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This just kills next turn. Can I play the Rusalka as well and still kill? Yes. I will go ahead and just do that. Pump my mana here. Crash in for 4. I guess, like, this also is just a lethal attack next turn. But it's probably just Street Wraiths and I die here. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Okay, there's Edge of Autumn. Yeah, and my discard just had no way to interact with the top of the deck, unfortunately. So, you know, it is what it is. Didn't need much more there. Unfortunately, Doomsday is a deck that's pretty hard to sideboard against. Like, I can play another Endurance. That helps a little bit. That's probably going to be about it. I'll board out maybe an Ant Queen just because it's slow. Collector Oof's worth playing. Library's playable, but maybe unexciting. I think I win that one if my opponent doesn't have the daze, for what it's worth. Okay, so this hand is essentially saying, like, can I win the game if I just play, like, Hexdrinker and a Hexdrinker? Decent amount of pressure. It's backed by Endurance. I think I'm going to keep this. I think I just lead on Forest into Hexdrinker rather than Green Sun for Dryad Arbor. Sure. We're chilling. So no matter what, I want to keep a green card in hand for the purposes of Endurance. So I think that means keeping the Green Sun in hand for now. Let's play a Forest. An attack for 2. When it goes to 18, I'll drop a new Hexdrinker. I believe it is correct to level one of them up rather than hold up Endurance around days. I don't expect to need Endurance in this exact turn cycle. Let's see what my opponent has in store for me. Like, it's pretty likely. Ooh, there is a Personal Tutor for Doomsday. Again, that's going to dodge my discard, which is kind of a pain in the ass. I guess this is a pretty good Green Sun opportunity. That's a little awkward, dropping the Endurance for a turn cycle, but it feels correct. So let's cast a Green Sun for 1. Grab a Veteran Explorer. Make black by sacrificing this. And now, since my opponent has cast Personal Tutor, they don't actually want to search. So yes, I will use this ability. Pick up one of each, I suppose. So I can just pump 4 mana into both of these and attack my opponent for 8 in this turn cycle instead of casting Cabal Therapy. That's probably really damn good. That wasn't where I intended on going as of the start of this turn. I think it's where I'm going. Oh wait, I can't do that. I'm fucking stupid. Why did I think I had... It's 3. Okay, so I can't do that. So I do still want a Cabal Therapy. Alright, Cabal Therapy. Veil of Summer. I mean, understood. So either way, when I level up again, it's 3 mana to level this up the first time, it's 4 mana to level this up now. I guess I'll start on this one. 6 damage. Opponent goes to 11. This is theoretical lethal damage after a Doomsday, so they have to win this turn, or otherwise deal with one of the Hexdrinkers. It is possible. Alright, they thought for a little while and then opted to fetch. Oh, Dark Ritual might actually allow them to win here. There's Doomsday. Okay, the Doomsday resolved. My opponent got into a Street Wraith, so presumably they can do like a Lion's Eye Diamond pile. Yeah. So I'm dead for not holding up Endurance. Yep, there's Consider, crack LED, and then it'll just be Thassa's Oracle. Alright, and Edge of Autumn, and then Thassa's Oracle. Alright. GG's. That was a lot of things that had to come together for my opponent to get the win there. I don't think I regret not playing out the Endurance, because, like, this puts my opponent dead, like, the next turn if they cast Doomsday. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. Moxfield is a deck building website for Magic the Gathering, although they do a lot more. For example, do you like Wordle, but wish it was with Magic cards? Moxfield has such a thing that they call Moxel. So if you want to have a little bit of fun and rack your brain while thinking about 5-lettered Magic cards, please consider checking out this website and maybe check out the deck building stuff while you're there. All right, round 2. I'm on the draw. This tapped Castle Lochwain is super awkward, and generally speaking, I don't have enough mana for this hand to work. I think I'm gonna go ahead and mulligan this one and this one. On 5, this is a keep. On 5, I think I'm giving up the Veteran Explorer plan, and I'm just trying to do cool things with a Hexdrinker and get a little bit lucky. Are we reanimating? Yeah, we're reanimating. I'm not going to meet that on a mult. Nope. Norman? Okay, yep. So it looks like we are playing against some TES variant. Oh, nope. Well, not exactly. The opponent is just kind of gambling that an Echo works, and that refreshes my mulligan. But, like, my opponent has a fresh 7 with 2 mana floating. Okay. Had a little time to think. We'll see where their lines go from here. Lots of artifacts. Unsurprisingly so, like they're a Mox Opal deck, right? Dark Ritual. A lot of mana. Veil of Summer. Now I can't Endurance. Alright, there's Wishclaw Talisman, which should just lead to a win. So my opponent has 6 mana on board, 5 mana after a Wishclaw Talisman activation. Well, might not actually 100% be a win. Me and Adnaz. Okay, there's 6 mana. Claw Talisman. They're 1 mana short of, like, Infernal. Or sorry, Burning Wish for Tendrils. Yeah, so there's an Adnaz. Alright, my opponent has flipped a bunch of... Oh, okay. I was trying to just start again at the point where they were done resolving their Ad Nauseam, because once I saw a Burning Wish, I knew I was dead. Because they just have multiple LEDs, multiple Mox Opals, like, they have the mana necessary to kill me. So this is just going to be get Metalcraft for a handful of Mox Opals, do the whole LED thing. They've got Rite of Flames they can cast. Like, this one is just objectively over. Other LED. Yup. Okay, at this point I think I just cut to the kill condition being on the stack. Okay, and a few artifacts later, my opponent has a very lethal Tendrils on the stack. GG, I will concede there. Unfortunately, since so much of my sideboard is dedicated to this Living Wish package, I don't really have things that I can board in. Like, I could technically board in a Plague Engineer or something, but I think it's just better as a Wish target. Which I think unfortunately means I'm basically not sideboarding. Which is really awkward, because I don't think my Game 1 matchup is particularly strong. I'll probably play, like, an Endurance over an Ant Queen just because that is so expensive. And maybe I can junk like Allosaurus Shepherd for like a Sylvan Library or something. But don't love my odds here. Well, the hand has a plan. I guess I keep it. I'm not a big fan of this hand. Like, it's going to require a lot of things to go right, but hopefully this is disruptive enough that things will work out in my favor. Make a comparison to other legacy decks. This feels like keeping a mediocre Leyline of the Void hand versus Reanimator. If you give them the time, they will eventually beat it. So I'll do what I can here. Alright, buy you. Thought sees you. That is a very resilient hand. I will be taking the mana source here. I don't want that to just sit in play. Next turn I can grab 2 Burning Wishes with Cabal Therapy, which is pretty reasonable. There's the Mire and the Bauble. Now here's to hoping that my opponent didn't draw Brainstorm as one of the 2 cards that I do not know about. ThrabenU resolves. I will be naming Burning Wish 100% of the time. What the fuck? You have Veil of Summer available. Why? I mean, I'm happy about it, but why? Like, seemed very important to protect that to me. Uh-huh. New Bauble. All fine so far. Opting to take the card now. Am I fine with taking Veil of Summer out of your hand? Yes. Yes, I think I am. Ball Therapy, target you. Uh-huh. We could have done that last turn, though. I'll play a Hexdrinker this turn. Pass the turn. I've got something that can start being a threat. Although I am going to prioritize taking these cards out of my opponent's hands before killing my opponent. Okay, there's another land drop from my opponent. Means there's some amount of urgency in getting rid of Galvanic Relay, despite it being a less scary card than Ad Nauseam by quite a bit. Alright, opponent is going to play out a Wishclaw Talisman. Do I have anything cool with Living Wish? Not really, right? Living Wish stuff is kind of expensive. Let's strip my opponent's hand a bit, though. I do have that going for me. Oh, those are good cards. I guess I'm going to take Ad Nausea and Galvanic Relay this turn. I don't think I can leave those cards in my opponent's hand. Alright. Act for 2 with a Hexdrinker. Put my opponent to 16. Ball Therapy, target you. Sacrificing a Hexdrinker. Do Ad Nauseam. Leaves my opponent with a Brainstorm and a Ritual, which are still perfectly reasonable cards. And then I guess I will cast a Living Wish. And these cards are very good. I guess I'm going to take a Grist here. Good with my Cabal Therapy that's in the yard. But, like, this is a point where just having normal cards in my Living Wish board instead of the cute shit would have just, like, probably won me a game. Because, like, this could have just gotten Collector Oof, and then, like, that puts me in an incredibly advantaged situation because I shut off a majority of my opponent's deck. And instead I'm looking at this stuff. Alright, my opponent tanked for a while on a Brainstorm. Let's see what they can do here. God, if I had a Collector Oof. My kingdom for a Collector Oof. Alright, so if I were my opponent, that Dark Ritual is not in my hand. I'm not the opponent. So there's that. Kind of feels like a time where maybe I just hope my opponent's bad. Doing anything other than high rolling here feels like I'm dead next turn. So I'm gonna high roll and hope my opponent kept that Dark Ritual in hand, not seeing this line. There's a Burning Wish in hand. Yes, I feel like I am dead. Alright, we'll have 3, 4, 5 mana plus double Wishclaw. This be activated at sorcery speed. No, just only during your turn. Alright, there's the Dark Ritual. Here's a Wishclaw Talisman activation. Maybe get something like a Lion's Eye Diamond. There's another one. Alright, yeah, there's an LED. I was expecting that. There's another LED. This is Burning Wish with 7 mana available. That seems like an easy kill. Miss that. Yeah, that's where I thought this was going. So Pier just lets my opponent draw half of their library, and once again, I kind of assume that I'm dead here. I think I'm just going to cut to me being dead. Okay, my opponent played out like 8 pieces of artifact mana and rituals, and now they've cast Burning Wish for Tendrils, and I will very much be dead. So I will go ahead and concede there. GG's. But like the cute deck building we're doing of trying to have extremely situational niche cards instead of just the generically powerful cards that normally see play in Legacy absolutely cost me that match. Like I can still play the Living Wishes, but if I don't have powerful cards like Collector Oof in my board to wish for, I am going to lose out on all the combo matches like these. Hey, Phil from the future here. So in that round, I cut out some of the dead time in my mind where my opponent like basically had already won the game but still needed 2 minutes to click through it. Let me know in the comments if that's something you like or you would like me to continue narrating every single play, because I'm always thinking about like how do things feel from the viewer's end, and it feels like me sitting there going, yep, uh-huh, ritual, ritual, ritual. Feels boring and tedious. But comments on this nature would be appreciated. Okay, back to the show. All right, this is round 3. I have a pretty mediocre hand here. Like, despite the fact that I have lands and spells, I'm not sure that this hand has an actual plan. Like, I cast a Living Wish for what? 3/4 attacker? A tower to sacrifice a Veteran Explorer if I get one? Maybe Grist. Maybe Grist makes this good enough. But this hand's very awkward with the Green Sun. Like, with the Dryad Arbor in hand alongside this Green Sun, I'm not sure that this hand is better than just mulliganing. And so I think I am going to do that. Like, despite having lands and spells, I don't think that hand has a real plan that works. This one is a keep. Green Sun on turn 2 for Veteran Explorer, Fire Casino Tower on turn 3. Throw back this land. Seems pretty reasonable. I think I, like, lose instantly if my opponent is playing a Caracas deck, though. Am I just going to get reanimated again and just play against my 3rd combo deck in a row when I'm trying to do some cute bullshit? Absolutely. Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. I'm in for whatever this is. Alright. So, against this random deck, which might just be like a Rakdos midrange graveyard-based deck list with maybe some stuff like Kroxa, do I want to Thoughtseize or do I just want a Green Sun? I think I want to Thoughtseize. I think this information is pretty valuable. The fuck? I'm gonna go out on a limb here and guess that I take the Entomb. Is this just like a fucked up Reanimator deck list? That is just playing value Dragon Rage Channelers in some control elements? Unsure. Okay, yeah, you can Thoughtseize me. Dragon Rage Channeler hits the bin. I legitimately don't know if I'll lose Polukranos or Green Sun here. Yeah, I'm losing a Green Sun. That doesn't surprise me. That Thoughtseize does turn this into a 3/3 flyer. So that's a thing. Endurance is very good. I will be legitimately quite happy. Pick that up. I am just going to grab Veteran Explorer here. I don't imagine my opponent is playing too many basics. Like, they might get 1. They could get 2. Feels unlikely. A Dark Ritual. Putting another Dark Ritual into Graveyard there off the Surveil. Are you going to Edict me? Yeah, you're going to Edict me. I'm a little surprised about this. But I'll take my lands. Alright, I've got a Forest and a Swamp. Okay, they do have 1 of each basic. So they're going to cycle that Manamorphose, I guess. Sure. Lightning Bolt to Graveyard. 8 red mana. Yeah, you can Bolt me. I got a 12 from that, 9 from the Dragon Rage Channeler attacking. Going deeper with Dark Ritual. Still no Fatty in the graveyard or anything. There's a Looting. Fire into graveyard off Surveil. There's Arclight Phoenix. I understand what my opponent is doing now. I can choose whether or not I want to take 3 more damage this turn. I think I just need to hardcast the Endurance and keep it in play. I think I can take the extra damage this turn. My plays are quite strong from here. But this does put me to 6, and I'll go to 3 next turn. So it's not perfect. I wish I had 1 more green mana so that I could deploy all of this, but I do not. That's okay. So take your extra card off the bauble. Lands are fine. Both of these crash in. I will cast Endurance, nuking my opponent's graveyard. And I believe I am supposed to block the Arclight Phoenix and just reduce the amount of damage that I take. And just try to stay out of lightning bolt range. Alright, I live another day. And I intend on making it everybody's fucking problem. There's Polukranos. And I'm just gonna hold back. I don't want to risk it here. When this thing becomes monstrous next turn, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. Well, I guess I could have more than that. If I got rid of Dryad Arbor. Then I could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is monstrous for X equals 3. How many cards is it for Arclight Phoenix? 3? Yeah, I think that's worth it. Back that. Activate this for X is 3. And that damage here. I've got an 8/8. I think since this is a lethal attack next turn, I just attack with Polukranos and then do the lethal attack next turn. It just feels safer to me. And then I don't die to Arclight Phoenix plus Lightning Bolt immediately. See if good old Polukranos spun that game. Looting is fine. Alright. Another looting in the yard. Anamorphose. They can go up to 3 mana, cast the looting. And I guess they could theoretically discard 2 Arclight Phoenixes and then I die. Buried alive. God damn it. Yeah, that just finds 2 copies of Arclight Phoenix, and then despite the fact that I played conservatively holding back Endurance, I still die. Didn't have reach or anything, so it's not like I could have played around that. Alright, and that's sort of frustrating. I feel like I played that one very well, given the resources that I had. So again, I'm playing this game where I don't really get to sideboard, because I'm playing a whole bunch of cute things. I guess I can Living Wish for a 4/4 flyer that costs 5 mana. I'm gonna just board in that other Endurance. I want to be able to Living Wish for Grist. What am I Living Wishing for? A lot of the time it's Bojuka Bog or one of these creatures that shrinks my opponent's creatures. I guess I could board this in. Or a Shepherd not doing a lot here. I remember Salka also not really doing a lot, but is still a way to sacrifice Veteran Explorer if I think that's important. Insects don't even fly, man. Don't even fly. That better as Assassin's Trophy? Not really sure that it is. It is a pretty reasonable hand. I think I will keep this one. Notably, Dryad Arbor is a green card for Endurance, if that's a thing that ends up mattering. Go ahead and grab a Bayou. Technically, I should have probably done that off the Misty. Go ahead and Cabal Therapy my opponent. I think naming Dark Ritual. Just don't let my opponent go fast. Nope. The 2 cards that I were thinking about naming there were Dragon Rage Channeler and Dark Ritual. If I name Dragon Rage Channeler and my opponent just does like some Dark Ritual, Buried Alive shit, I'm just so fucking dead in a lot of circumstances, though. I don't know, maybe that's not true since I have the Endurance. Alright, there is a Thoughtseize, so I lose this Endurance. Oh, I lost the Veteran Explorer instead. Sure. Thoughtseize is good. Actually quite happy with that as a draw. Alright, now which way do I want to do this? Probably Entomb. That one's a bit tricky, because if I'm willing to gamble, I can like take something like Arclight Phoenix that turn, and then plan on wiping it out with Endurance the next turn, but like when that goes wrong, it goes really wrong. I believe I have like Polukranos that cares about cards in my graveyard, so I'm going to go ahead and fetch now. Grab another Bayou. And now I'm hoping to just draw big, dumb, powerful stuff. That absolutely qualifies. Let's go. Not going to play around a potential Blood Moon effect here. I do not want to Cabal Therapy my opponent. Now my opponent can find a Lightning Bolt and take out this Scavenging Ooze, but if they don't take it out relatively quickly, it will absolutely just take over the game. Okay, they've got follow-up. Anamorphose. Anamorphose. Please feed my Scavenging Ooze. Oh, they like whatever they have on top there. One of each color mana. This is all fine. Oh, interesting. They got rid of a Lightning Bolt. Card seems quite good here to me. Arclight Phoenix to Yard. And an Entomb. Or another one. A Swamp. Yep, that's another Arclight Phoenix. Let's ooze. And eat one of those. And now I have to decide whether or not it's worth it to lose both Endurance and Dryad Arbor to gain 3 life. I'm not sure that it is, because if I Endurance while Dalthy Voidwalker is untapped, my opponent could just Endurance and then this never grows to the 4/4. I would really like it to be so that it never dies to Lightning Bolt. Not 100% sure about that. I also just kind of feel like I need the land drop. Let's fetch here. At this point, I'll grab a basic. I'm going to go ahead and sorcery speed, eat that. And then I'll just kind of hold up. Can I attack? Maybe I need to attack. Endurance blocks this. I take 4. Yeah, maybe I need to attack, or I'm just not going to race Dalthy Voidwalker. Alright, opponent's at 12. Margins are pretty tight here. An Entomb that they do not want. Not sure if they're supposed to be playing stuff pre-combat here. Yeah, this is all fine. Thought they knew about my Endurance from an early game Thoughtseize. Maybe I'm wrong, if they don't. Multiple unmasks, go to graveyard. That's only an attack with the Dalthy Voidwalker. That's fine. Take that and go to 7, which is a little bit awkward for me. I will play the Endurance and nuke their graveyard. Not the best or anything, and I can't all-out attack here. Castle Locthwain is really not good. Like, if I attack for 7, my opponent just has lethal on the backswing, so I can attack with one of these, and then die the following turn. If Dryad Arbor stays alive, I can attack with both. Attack for 7, block Dragon Rage Channeler, take 6, I'll lose to Lightning Bolt or any other removal spell, but then I have a reasonable chance of actually winning. Oh, I hate that that's my line. Alright, send him. Okay, no blocks. Opponent's at 5. Go Gadget Dryad Arbor. My opponent will crack their bauble. Look at my top card for more information. Yep. And I'm dead to a removal spell. Or otherwise dead to an Arclight Phoenix getting in play. So I guess I'm also dead to land Arclight Phoenix. There's land. Okay. Anamorphose is fine. Like, I don't care about the Dragon Rage Channeler getting flying because I have Scavenging Ooze, which can keep those types in check. Okay, that's fine. Looting is currently fine, but very easily could become not fine. Because it just looks for Lightning Bolt. Oh, they put something on top, so they found Lightning Bolt and I'm dead. That's unfortunate. They discarded Lightning Bolt. Oh shit, they didn't have an extra card in hand. Oh hell yeah. Okay, so this attack puts me to 1 and there's not anything that I can do about it. I'll win if I draw Living Wish. Alright. Good stuff. Living Wish for Plague Engineer is the win for me. And let's chomp away at my opponent's graveyard. I'm just going to eat everything here. Leave them with a sorcery, I suppose. Alright, Living Wish. Alright, what the fuck does this card do? Enters the battlefield with 6+1/+1 counters. I make it fight, but I don't have enough mana. So ooze. My opponent has 2 blockers. I can only deal 1 point of damage to them. I am dead 100% of the time to Douthie Voidwalker. Don't have the mana to fight another creature, because it's 4 to cast it, and then I only have 2. I'm 1 mana short of fighting. Damn. Yeah, I'm 1 mana short of being able to fight Douthie Voidwalker, and then maybe pull this game out of my butt. That is unfortunate. GG's. Alright, round 4. Opening hand doesn't have functional mana. This is an auto mulligan. This hand sure can sacrifice a Veteran Explorer a few turns from now. I guess that's where we're at on this keep. My opponent has mulliganed once. That's what I've got going for me. Blooded Strand? Okay. Oh. Nice. I think I'm just supposed to lead on this rather than the Veteran Explorer. I don't think you Swords to Plowshares a Starved Rusalka. Just going on vibes. It doesn't feel like a thing that you're supposed to do. What? Okay. Man, I really don't know if I'm supposed to sacrifice a Veteran Explorer this turn. After my opponent has missed a land drop. Tropical Island. Okay. Violent Outburst. Okay. So we're on Rhino bullshit. Understood. I guess that makes more sense than anything else here. So my Veteran Explorers are probably free ramp here. So this is awkward, right? Absolutely double block my Rusalka. Am I supposed to sacrifice here? Sure. Yes, I will sacrifice that card to its own ability. Gain a life. Land drop. Veteran Explorer pass. I don't really know how I just beat 2 5/4 creatures. Fuck me, I guess. Yeah, this. Okay, so they're not 5/4s on most turns. So this is 8, 16, dead. And there's another one suspended. I just don't have things like Pernicious Deed that are gonna wipe these. How am I actually supposed to win after that happens? I don't think I do, right? Yeah, I don't think I do. I unfortunately think I'm just conceding to that. Like, I can Green Sun for a blocker, absorb 1 point of damage, take 7 on the attack, get a couple of lands, Green Sun for something slightly bigger. But, like, these trample, so, like, pumping mana into something like the Ant Queen isn't gonna save me. Okay. The Collector comes out. Probably play the Assassin's Trophy. Grist and Sylvan Library are probably boardable as well. Although, like, Grist is also the thing that I want a Living Wish for, so that's kind of awkward. I'm going to take out the Starved Rusalka, play the Sylvan Library, and leave the Grist in the board. I'm not 100% sure about that, though. I would like to play first. I will keep this hand. Alright, my opponent has mulligan to 5. Hopefully I can take 1 central card from their hand and have the time to set up something powerful on my end. Yeah. This is a hand that largely is not going to do anything if I take this Violent Outburst. Like, I can let them Force of Will one of my first cards that matters, and, like, their Leyline Binding is not a functional removal spell as of this time. I'm just going to go ahead and drop a Fiend Artisan. I don't think that gets the Force of Will, but it's a powerful card. It does get the Force of Will. Obviously, I'm happy with that. Sure, that's all fine. 3 mana here is Hexdrinker and Fiend Artisan this turn. I don't know with 100% certainty whether or not my opponent has a basic land or not in their deck. But, like, I can Assassin's Trophy a Leyline Binding a little bit later. So here's a fetch, presumably for a Triome. Nope. Oh, I see. Fetching not a Triome means that you can Leyline Binding immediately. Not a problem. Alright, so now I don't know anything about my opponent's hand. And we'll see what they can do. 2 cards. This is protection from instants. That doesn't technically protect from that. think I'm just going to crash in with this as a 2-1 for now. Success. And then I think I'll go ahead and play a Veteran Explorer. And I can Assassin's Trophy Leyline Binding on my opponent's turn. Just increase my power in play. Yeah, good stuff. Ah, no basic lands, you say. What a fucking shame. I feel bad. I don't feel bad. Have to put some W's on the board this league. Okay, yeah. Fiend Artisan was about to actually get to do something. No changes to boarding here, I don't think. My opponent has taken a mulligan. Unfortunately, I will as well. Like, if this was a swamp, the hand is maybe keepable. With that being a tapped Castle Locthwain, there's no way that it is. I will keep this hand and put a Dryad Arbor back in deck, but I'm not actually very happy about it. Alright, my opponent has mulligan to 5. That's decent news for me. Let's cast a turn 1 Cabal Therapy. And maybe try to hit Violent Outburst. That feels correct. It did not hit. They had Shardless Agent instead. Alright. So I probably lose this game because I named the wrong 3-drop. Frustrating. Alright. There's Volk. There's the Spirit Guide. Into Shardless Agent for Rhinos. I can maybe attempt to beat this time, like, just by physically removing the Rhino tokens, because I can kill 1 here, and then try to kill 1 in the future. Or level up a Hexdrinker in a way that beats it. But that sure doesn't feel great. I'm gonna go ahead and do this now, while my opponent has no untapped mana. But, like, this is still just 6 power in play that I have to deal with. Like, despite the fact that I played a 0 downside removal spell there that was, in theory, very strong. I think my opponent just still beats me. Alright, I take 6. I'm at 14. Not really afford the life points to do this. Can afford the life points to fetch, I think. Grab another Bayou. Play a Hexdrinker. I think this needs to look like this, where I cast this for X equals 1. Grab a Veteran Explorer with it. And hope that I can throw 8 mana into a Hexdrinker before I die to a 4/4 Trampler. Very much lose to a removal spell, I think. A Veteran Explorer block here saves me 2 life in this turn cycle, which feels fine. Is a Petty Theft. Sure. I've got 4 mana to work with. Kind of have 5 mana to work with. If I back to Cabal Therapy, I guess I will do that. Cabal Therapy, target you. Grab some forests. Name Force of Will with this. Oh, great. Oh, that's cool. Fuck. Alright, 1, 2, 3 levels it up. I can take 2 and take the Minsc and Boot out of their hand. That puts me to 7. Every point of life is very precious because there's a Brazen Borrower chilling in exile that my opponent can cast 100% of the time next turn. Maybe I just try to fade. I'm not going to beat this card in the long term. In the short term, I'm already losing to this stuff, though. I think I'm going to start leveling up the other Hexdrinker in hopes of trading this one with the 4/4 Trampler, and then creating another one that maybe wins me the game from a different direction. I'm just going to lose to a removal spell or a land drop. I'm losing to, like, everything here. 2 mana. Need to fetch first for Leyline Binding. Yep. Okay. There's a Trop. 4 different types for Leyline Binding. It's a 2 mana removal spell. Yep. Okay. I am fine conceding here. GG's. This is the drop point of the league. Okay. I did not play games of Magic tonight for the most part. This was a poorly constructed deck. And I don't mean that as an insult to the deck builder, because I have, like, loved most of the things that Matt has submitted so far. But this one just doesn't conceptually work. And I'm really going to do a deep dive into some like deck building theory here because like the gameplay portion of this league was so short. So like let's kind of start from square one. As far as the mana base goes, I think Castle Locthwain is very unreasonable. If we kind of take a look, this deck is playing an absolutely massive number of non-swamp lands. So this is 10 lands that don't contribute towards Castle Locthwain entering untapped. And the turn that you want black mana on in this deck is turn 1, because you're supposed to be playing Thoughtseize and Cabal Therapy, right? Actually, the backside of this also does that. So that's 11 that don't count towards Castle Locthwain entering untapped. And if these things end up fetching a basic forest, those are more things that contribute to Castle Locthwain entering untapped. So as far as the mana base goes, I don't think this belongs in the deck. I also don't think that this falls into the category of playable unless you're doing something unfair with it. In Legacy, like, Oops All Spells can play this card because, like, it is a functional piece of the combo. It is a land you can play that doesn't get in the way of your, like, Bluestride Spies and friends. And in a Chrome Mox deck, the fact that it is a colored card on the front and a land on the back has, like, very useful technology. So I would be looking to get rid of Castle Locthwain and Agadeem's Awakening as far as the mana base goes. So, like, it's thing number 1 I kind of spot about the deck. Thing number 2. The deck just doesn't do anything most of the time. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I put a lot of mana into Hexdrinkers, and my opponents were still able to beat them, right? So, like, Leyline Binding, for example, was a removal spell that got around this. Planeswalker activated abilities, such as a Teferi Bounce, will get around this. Hexdrinker is not True Name Nemesis. It's a green sunnable alternative, but this card doesn't just murder if you funnel enough mana into it. Similarly, well, not similarly, on a slightly different note, there are some of these things that are in the deck for, like, cute niche reasons. Like, Starved Rusalka is something that you can green sun for 1 mana that can help you sacrifice a Veteran Explorer. But, like, this is very embarrassing to actually draw as a Magic card in comparison to something like Fiend Artisan, which is a totally viable card on its own. So I would probably be looking to cut this. I don't know how much sense the Allosaurus Shepherd actually makes just as a way to go and make your spells uncounterable. Like, blue decks are everywhere in Legacy, and I get it, but this card is fragile, and there's not a lot of other elves in this deck list. So while that's maybe something I want in the sideboard, I don't even know if I want that card in the main deck. Similarly, I had to use Cabal Therapy sacrificing real creatures throughout this league because I did not actually have the interaction that I needed, and I didn't have a fast enough clock to actually kill my opponent. So I had to, like, Cabal Therapy sacrificing real cards. I don't remember if it was like Endurance or Fiend Artisan, but I gave up very real cards to get flashback on Cabal Therapy. And overall, the kind of picture that I'm painting is the deck was stumbling over itself in enough small points and not doing something objectively powerful enough that it was able to go and power through for the win. So I'm not playing a 3/3 flyer on turn 1. I'm not playing a 5/5 flyer on turn 3. The most aggressive thing that I did in this league for the most part was play a 3/4 endurance, and that wasn't keeping up with my combo opponents, and that wasn't keeping up with my fair opponents making things like rhinos either. So ultimately, when you ask me what is this deck supposed to be good against, what's my answer supposed to be? Extremely slow blue mid-range decks with no Caracas and also no basics? Like, is that my answer here? All right, let's take a minute and talk about the sideboard. While I think it is totally reasonable to build a Living Wish version of Nic Fit, I don't think this accomplished anything with what it was doing. First of all, this deck list is not willing to max out on Living Wish, and yet basically the entire sideboard, except for like Sylvan Library and Assassin's Trophy, are niche Living Wish targets. If you're not going to max out on one of the cards your deck is built around, why are you playing it? To draw a comparison to a more popular card, Karn the Great Creator sees a ton of legacy play. If you are dedicating 12 of your sideboard slots to various artifact targets and you're not playing for Karn the Great Creator, you're really losing out on value, right? So I think there's two problems with this Living Wish board. Number one, it's 13 slots of the sideboard for 3 main deck copies of Living Wish. I don't think that is an acceptable ratio there. Number two, this deck is trying to play a lot of cute situational things instead of just good fucking black-green cards. If this sideboard is filled with just reasonable cards, your collector oofs, your collector oofs, your endurances, your grists, your plague engineers, and we just cut all the cute stuff. So we get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We probably get rid of those 6 cards. We can open up this sideboard to playing things that are better. Like you can slip an Allosaurus Shepherd into that sideboard. You can slip a reasonable mid-rangey win condition at like 4 to 5 mana. Like you could even go bigger if you wanted. Like you can change the mana base. You could play something like Primeval Titan sized even. But I believe that every time I cast Living Wish, I was underwhelmed with my options. And while sometimes that Living Wish is going to get you exactly what you need, I don't think this wish board as built is strong enough to warrant the number of slots that it's taking up. So ultimately, this one gets a thumbs down from me. I was a little skeptical in the deck tech. Admittedly, this played out much worse than I thought it would be. Like, I thought that the Endurances and the Green Suns and the Fiend Artisans that kind of formed the core of this deck would be good enough to win a couple of matches here and there. But the answer was just a resounding absolutely fucking not, as we got obliterated by 3 different types of combo decks in a row, followed by a relatively air-adjacent blue deck. So I would go back to the drawing board with the information that I've sent you here. I hope this extended deck tech here was useful. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments about adjusting this one. I hope you all have a great rest of the day. See ya.